Thinking. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Antoinette again, and I'm here with a fabulous guest, TJ Amas, creator of DocFlite. We're going to hear loads from him. I've been really excited about having TJ on as one of our Clean Conscience Convo guests, particularly as tech is one of my big bugbears. And for many of you that have been following my journey, you'll know that I've been wrestling with a tech build for the last 5 years. And have encountered and learnt all sorts along the way. So it's a real joy to meet someone who's iconic in our industry, who is helping to make positive change, particularly for cleaning business owners and SMEs within that. And doing it all with grace and justice and equity. So TJ Amas.
Oh, me. Oh, I thought you were talking about someone else. I was convinced. I was like, who? I thought I was the guest.
That is
oh,
you.
It's so good to be with you. Thank you. We've had a few chats already, so this is almost like formalizing some of the things we've talked about before. So I'm quite excited to do this with you.
A question I've been meaning to ask you for ages, and so it's a bit cheeky to do it on air, but what does TJ stand for?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is cheeky. The full name is Torisheju. It's a Nigerian name, and it's from a place called Warri in Nigeria.
Are you joking? I'm sorry that we are doing this live on air, everybody, but that is my family region as well.
No way.
Okay, we're going to sidebar this.
That's another podcast. That's another podcast. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Oh, we'll take this off air.
Brilliant. So, TJ, what first inspired you to create DocFlite, and like what problem were you most passionate about trying to solve for the cleaning and FM industry?
Yeah, well, actually, I guess like a lot of businesses, DocFlite didn't start out as what it's eventually become. In actuality, it started out as a quoting tool for my best friends, who ran a biomass company. And so they wanted something that would create quotations very specific to the industry, and they couldn't really find that off the shelf. So I thought, yeah, I'll create something for you. And this is why I did my actual day job as an integration consultant. So it never started out as an idea for a business. It was a solution to a very specific problem. But as it happens, they pivoted their business. So about 18 months after me kind of spending lots of time building this thing, they went, actually, we don't need it anymore. So I was at a crossroads then. I had a choice. I could either just kind of scrap all I'd built, and I built a lot, had lots of fun creating this tool online, or I could, kind of turn it into a quoting tool for anyone. And I chose the latter path. So that's how it started. I guess a pertinent question would be, why did I carry on? Because it's a tough thing trying to create a product, bring it to market, especially when it wasn't the original plan. But we kind of carried on going because we signed up a couple of cleaning businesses. So, I mean, I guess that's the question of why cleaning FM. A couple of cleaning businesses signed up, and I thought, why have they signed up? They weren't my target audience. I was looking to do something for trades, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. That was the audience I thought we were building for. And so we kind of dug into it a little bit, and we found that there were some very specific problems that cleaning businesses had that we solved accidentally. So we kind of doubled down on that and went, right, okay, if we're doing some things right, not a great deal, we're doing some things right, what else can we do for the industry? And here we are now working, almost exclusively with cleaning businesses. So completely accidental, no genius plan, no, no roadmap. It was just kind of dive in, feet first and see what happened. And that's what we're doing now.
I mean, welcome to the world of entrepreneurism. Yeah, whatever that word is. Yeah,
exactly. I just
want to be clear. Could other industries use this tool? Could DocFlite?
They can and they do. Yeah. So about half our user base are actually non-cleaning businesses, and the other half, which we are kind of explicitly targeting, are cleaning businesses. So any SME that has, document process needs, that need to send quotes, contract proposals, and you can imagine that's most of them, can use our software. But why it works so well for the cleaning industry is because we have quite a significant user base, we understand what they want. So we can build very specific solutions to their problems, which incidentally could help others. But it's about focus, really. It's not about usability. It can be used by everyone, but our focus is on cleaning.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
And actually, from the get-go, as someone that is onboarding through this process, I am loving every step of it so far.
Brilliant.
Actually, that was until this morning's email, where I now have to do some real donkey work in terms of
Oh, I thought the invoice phase would have been the bit where you kind of went, oh wait, but no,
we've been through the ways of that, and it's not a woe at all. It's
no. It is. Yeah, I would say we could have gone in a few different directions, but there is something about working with cleaning business owners that aligns with the way we work, because we work with the small to medium-sized cleaning companies and tend to be owner managed. And like you, the values are very similar to our values.
Yeah.
And so it makes it easy to work with other businesses that are very much like us, grafters, scrappy, want to do well for their clients. So all that kind of comes together to form a business that we want to work in, and that's a privilege for us, actually. Waking up and doing DocFlite, I enjoy it. And not everyone can say that about their job. So, absolutely is something that we're going to keep pushing in.
Brilliant. Brilliant and so well needed. Let's move on. So the cleaning industry isn't always quick to adopt to new tech. Like, I know that for many of us, we're wedded to our Excel and Word documents and manual ledgers. Have there been any mindset or practical barriers that you've seen? And what do you think were the biggest ones? It's two-part, actually, it was three-part maybe. And then how are you helping business owners to overcome that?
Yeah, definitely there are barriers. I mean, tech in any sector is oftentimes viewed as a necessary evil, right? Because unless, like me, you're a technologist and you love software for software's sake, you just find it's a tool, right? So I see software differently. I see it as something I love to build, something I like to be involved in. But to your typical cleaning business owner, they just want to give good service to their clients and keep spaces clean. So there is that disconnect with how they view tech, necessary evil. However, I will say this is slowly changing. With the advent of AI, everyone can kind of see the real benefits of AI, even if you're not tech savvy, right? So I think that's kind of expanding the horizons of cleaning business owners. So I will say the biggest barrier to change that I see isn't people not liking tech, really. It's time. So we speak to a lot of business owners who understand they can be more efficient. They understand they can be more professional. They get that, but they don't have the time to invest in becoming these things. And so one of the ways we help is we offer a concierge service, right? It doesn't matter if you're our very smallest user, say 5 employees, right up to 300 employees. We treat every company who comes on board the same, because we know that if time is a commodity, we need to make sure that our new starters spend less time trying to get onto DocFlite. Otherwise, a couple of things will happen. They'll be frustrated. They probably won't actually adopt the software, which is bad for both parties. They're paying for something they're not using. We don't feel great about it. They don't feel great about it. So we make sure you have to do some work, right? Nothing comes entirely free, but we try to minimize the time any new starter has to invest to get going. So if we can get rid of that barrier, we find that it's not that big a challenge actually to get software adopted. So I think there's a change of perception that's happening. They know they need it, and a lot of cleaning companies invest a lot of money in software. So they put money into it. It's just getting the right software to do the right things, and that's where we try to help.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Can't wait till you decide to build an actual physical scheduling system. That's because of the way that you see it, and because of your high values on customer service and really understanding the pain points and needs of our in particular. But I think it's just how you're hardwired, TJ. So
yeah. Don't tempt me. I have too many ideas. I don't need any more.
Well, you heard it here on live.
Yeah.
I've got an entire downloaded idea that I'm trying to sort out. So
Oh
maybe we need
dear.
to talk about that
Okay.
as well. We've got many conversations we need to have.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, you touched on this a bit earlier, but like when tech's well done, it should make our lives easier.
Yeah.
So at the minute it's feeling quite theoretical, and for anyone that doesn't quite understand the magic of DocFlite, can you give us like a real worked example of
Yeah.
a business that's maybe been transformed by DocFlite or in the process of?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to give you a slightly left field example here. So April this year, I mean, with the introduction of kind of extra costs for cleaning businesses, what with the employers' contributions, NI, a lot of small cleaning companies had to do something that they're quite reticent to do, and that's increase prices. So price increases, I guess if you work in the commercial space, every year you're going to do a review and costs go up, your prices go up. So for cleaning companies that work mainly in commercial space, this is, fairly well trodden ground. But if you work in the domestic space, there's a whole relationship here, a whole dynamic that's quite different, where domestic cleaning companies have a relationship with a lot of their customers. They understand the lives of their customers. They don't want to raise prices willy-nilly. So they're quite careful about price rises. So when the time came for them to actually realize that costs are going up, but we have to raise prices, and Mrs. Smith down the road, who I've cleaned for 10 years, is suddenly going to feel like, all of a sudden I'm too expensive. There was this kind of emotional turmoil that was happening along the smaller end of the sector. So one of the things that DocFlite allowed our customers do was to send out price increase letters where they could do this at scale using DocFlite, using a feature we call our bulk send feature, where you can send an email that's personalized. Again, it's a computer doing it, but it's personalized. And then you could track everyone who actually engaged with this letter, and you could give them a series of options to respond. So what it did was it took away that emotional part, that emotional turmoil of sending out price increases. It kept it personal, but it kind of separated the business owner from the process. And we helped quite a few cleaning companies to just kind of get over this quite tricky task, and then to manage the responses they got back at scale. So I guess at heart, it was a system that sent out an email with a link to a document and some workflow buttons that the customer could go, I'm happy with this, or have some questions. And then the business owner could just look at a dashboard and see all the responses coming in. So I think that emotional side, why it's a left field question, is it's not just a system question, it's an emotion question. How do we make life easier for our clients to do something which they would have found otherwise really hard? And I still think it would have been a hard thing to do, but at least take away that admin side, and make that easier. So that's one example of how I guess DocFlite could help our clients. We have obviously more grand features, but this one really resonated with me because I could see on follow-up, I could see the impact it had. And it wasn't just your software is great, is your software reduced the stress levels for me. And the bulk send feature is not something you would use often, right? So it kind of came in clutch just when it was needed. But I loved that story.
That's absolutely brilliant, and very hot off the press for me. We've literally just spent the last 10 days preparing our price raise email. It's always quite a laborious task. I mean, AI has helped us because there's no one system that we hold that has all of the data that we need: their client name, their email, their current price, their next price. So it takes a long time, and my COO and I've had to hothouse ourselves for a day, but 2 hours of that day was cleaning the data, which is just completely pointless, right? And then figuring out a mail merge attachment that plugs into all of that and allows us to send a personalized, here is your price, your raise, and that's how that happens. Dear TJ. So, I mean, I get it, and I get that emotional side. It took me 7 years to stop crying every time I raised
it. Which, as you run a business, is just it's a necessary thing. But I get that.
So brilliant, and again, just a testimony to how you're not just putting software out there, but that you really are thinking through the business case on every level for business owners. So fabulous! Thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, pleasure.
So, I mean, we talk a lot at Just Help Us. We talk a lot about
Mm,
ethics in business.
mm,
It's the core of on which our business is built.
mm.
Um, from your perspective, because this has been a conversation that's been blowing my mind over the last few years, what does ethical tech look like? And how
Yeah.
do you build trust with clients who, I mean, I might just split that actually. What does ethical tech look
Mm.
like, in your opinion?
Well, when you think ethical tech, I guess you would kind of default to things like data protection,
Mhm.
security, etc., etc. But these are minimum requirements. I think that's just building good software. But I think it should go further. When I was thinking about this question, um, I think it's more about, well, does your solution do what it says it's going to do?
Mm.
Are you honest as a company? If expectations don't match reality, what do you do then? Because at demo time, software always looks great, right? I'm going to show you the best bits of my software, and you're going to ask the questions that are in your mind at that time. But when rubber hits the road, you go, oh, but I assumed it did that. And I'm going to go, well, no, it doesn't. But how do we meet in the middle? And how do we make sure that everyone comes out satisfied? So I think ethical tech is achieved when your first goal is kind of a customer obsession. You have to be empathetic to the customer, because at some point I'm selling to you, but at some other point I'm going to be buying from someone else. So I got to treat you, the buyer, the way I want to be treated when I'm purchasing. And so it's more like we need ethical technologists, not ethical tech. Tech itself is inert, right? It does what we tell it to do. There's the people behind that tech have to have a strong sense of ethics. So I think it's really that. It's empathizing with your customer, putting yourself in their shoes, and making sure your software does what you said it was going to do. That's so ethical tech, I think, for me is less important than ethical people behind the tech. You
Mm.
know, because in the end, when you get on board with DocFlite, it's going to be a piece of software, ones and zeros that do special things when you click buttons. But where you're going to get the real value is when you need something you didn't know you needed at the point of purchase. Are we there to help you? You know, are we there to support you? Are we actually working in tandem? For me, that is my number one goal: customer obsession. Just thinking about what the customer needs and making sure that they're happy and keeps my reputation intact. That's a thing. I want someone to speak well of me, and so I'm going to be ethical in all my dealings with them. So yeah, that was the answer. I thought doesn't answer your question directly, but I think it's a bigger, broader answer, and how other companies should really be working.
I think I've got a follow-up question around that, but I wanted to highlight, I'm loving this refrain of customer obsession that you have got running through our conversation, because that really should be the essence of every service-based business. If we're all
Absolutely.
doing that, then my goodness,
Yeah.
business becomes a pleasure.
Yeah.
So I know that part of my thinking around ethical tech has been, and it's still very fledgling, but it's around carbon footprint, for example,
Yeah.
and my menopausal brain's kicked in. The places where we store all the data for
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Any thoughts around that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah. So for me, because we are a cloud-based piece of software, we use tried and tested cloud-based tools. We work with Microsoft Azure, which is enterprise grade, a cloud hosting platform. The data is you need to make sure your data is stored securely, is geolocated. So we have our data stored in two places. So if a physical data center goes down, you need to make sure that data is actually available somewhere else. So our customers' data, they can actually still retrieve it. So availability is a big factor. When you talk about carbon footprint, businesses like ours, fortunately, don't have a heavy carbon footprint. We do most of our stuff online. So I guess where the carbon spend will be experienced is at the data center we're kind of using when we use StreamYard, for example, because carbon is used everywhere. It's unavoidable. But it's kind of being aware of that, being aware that the planet we live on is slowly being degraded, and so these things have to matter. But yeah, so we're in that pretty rare position where we don't have a very large footprint. But if I was to answer the question as a CEO of a 1,000-person business, then I would have very different answers for you. I would certainly have a whole ESG part to the business, which we don't need. Again, we're too small. But the customers we work with too are quite aware of this stuff, so even cleaning businesses are looking at using more products that are friendly, kind of using bio products. I think that the industry as a whole are starting to note the effect of what they're doing and becoming just a lot more educated. It's a great sector to work in, because there's some very smart people in this sector who could be underestimated. So we kind of see how these guys are reacting to changes in legislation, just awareness. So we are not contributing a lot, but that means there's not much we can do to reduce our contribution. But industry as a whole, I think we're part of a great sector for just being aware of what we're doing to the planet.
Thank you. So I guess digging in on a slightly different place. So part of ethics, I guess, is around people. Well, and there's a big debate and a big fear that automation and machines are going to replace people. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts around DocFlite, particularly as DocFlite is helping businesses to streamline. How do you think, or is there a way that DocFlite can actually help teams protect human connection in team and between company and client, and fairness rather than replacing it?
It's a great question. So when I was thinking about this one, I thought, what are some examples where the computer just should not be doing the job? And there are certainly some things where you want that human connection, that human interaction. Like I heard the story recently of kind of AI interview bots where AI could decide if you go to the next phase for a job you're applying. I mean, like, that's a no-no. When you take into account the bias, you certainly need someone who understands context, So there's some things that you shouldn't put the computer in, but there are definitely some things where the computer should be used. Places like, let's look at DocFlite examples. If you want to send a quotation to a client, you need to respect your client's time, and you need to understand that your client values efficiency. So there's some places where you might think you're being personal, you're personalizing your process, but it's just inefficient, and the client won't actually value that, right? So if I'm going to ask for feedback from clients, I want to make that process as slick and as easy for the client to engage with, so that the next step in that would be the actual conversation. But I want to gather data in a way that doesn't waste my client's time. I want to make it easy for my employees to communicate their concerns to me, right, via a systemized approach, so I can respond to those concerns. Those are places where software like DocFlite will help, right? It's not removing the human interaction, it's complementing it, it's enhancing it. So communication is definitely one area I would say, if software makes it easier to communicate with your staff, definitely use software, right? It doesn't dehumanize the process. It just makes it easier for everyone involved to get to the end goal you want to get to. And we have lots of tools in DocFlite that kind of shorten that process. Inquiries, for example. If I want to inquire about your services, don't make it super hard for me to give you my custom. Just make it easy. Make sure communications from the point of me submitting the form, telling me if I have to wait in a waiting list, when my clean is going to start. Make all that simple for me as a customer. The computer helps you do that. Software helps you do that. So those are some examples where I would definitely apply DocFlite.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think we're quite fortunate in the cleaning industry as well, that there are, I know in the bigger commercial cleans, there are all sorts of robotics which are enhancing the industry too, but that intersection between humans and their client is always going to be quite high. I think it's going to be one of the last industries to really go fully digitized and automated. So it's an interesting space to watch. We're nearly on the home stretch, TJ. It's been delightful.
Wow, already?
Yeah, it's just generated more questions and conversations in my head for you. Sorry for your family. But one of the things I wanted to ask about is I mean, people just assume that in the cleaning industry, it's all very low tech and all very casual and ad hoc, and that, you know, you call, we rock up with a mop and a bucket and off we go. But the reality is that the admin load in a cleaning business is heavy.
Yeah.
I have a full-time team from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. just responding to messages day in, day out. And that's beyond all of the, you know, data sheets and posh stuff and onboarding and offboarding and throughboarding of everyone, clients, helpers, cleaners, and your admin team in and of itself. It's endless. And I think people don't realize that. And it, you know, it can break a small business owner if they're not careful. So if you could recommend one or two small digital wins, and I think you've alluded to some, but small digital wins that make the biggest difference straight away in DocFlite, what would they be?
Yeah, great question. I'm thinking about this from the point of view of the smaller end of the cleaning sector. So think 10 to 20 employees, right? The first thing I would say is do better with inquiries, because a lot of small business owners will, at the same time, wonder how to grow their business whilst losing out on inquiries coming in for the cleaning services. So that disconnect is quite ironic, right? The thing that you need to grow your business is more customers, but they don't systemize that. That's quite an ad hoc process. I would say definitely automate that. It's a simple thing to automate. I ask you for services, a series of dominoes should fall, right? And every time someone asks you for your service, the same things should happen. So systemize that. The next thing would be, when you quote as a cleaning business, do not just send a carrier pigeon or a WhatsApp message or a text message with your, or an email with just your quote in it, because that's a chance for you to demonstrate your value. So again, this is what the smaller end of the sector are guilty of doing. They just blurt out their price, which is based on an hourly rate. But as a client, especially if you're a commercial client, I'm looking for reasons why I should work with you. And the hourly rate should not be the first thing they see. It should be why you're a great company. So invest in a bit more time to make sure that sales process actually demonstrates how good you are and why you should be earning more than you're currently earning. And this is something we're going to have to do a podcast on, Antoinette, is why hourly rates tend to be so low for cleaning companies. But that's a whole different thing, right? But we need to justify why you were worth the higher rate. And I mean, I was thinking about this. Increase your rate by 20%, and it means you need to sell to 20% kind of less, like make 20% less sales in order to get to be in the same place. Less work for the same revenue, and that's how you can accelerate growth. And I came up with a third, and this is, I think, the biggest thing that DocFlite helps cleaning companies do: automate your onboarding. It's a painful process. That's your employee onboarding. Applies to client onboarding, but less so. It's a painful, time-intensive, expensive process where, unless you're in the top 1% of cleaning businesses, you're going to have some kind of churn of staff. It's a revolving door sometimes. So every time you hire someone, you got to go through the same manual steps of sending your Word document out or having them come into the office to sign the document. Super inefficient. Automate that. You know you're going to be doing it, especially if you're looking to grow. It's unavoidable. So make it simple. Make it easy for your staff to go through a process which you know you're going to be doing several times in a month. So those are three things I think you would see kind of instant results from. There's plenty more, but those three stood out.
Amazing. And we can't wait to get started. For those of you listening live now through today or through December, we're onboarding in January. But the process is already starting, and it's kind of, it feels, I know I had a like, we've got a big one, but the DocFlite team make it really easy, really approachable, really friendly, really highly supportive, and actually very logical. So even when I opened that document today, just because it's exciting, but the process of it is still very straightforward. It helps me to know you really understand our industry.
Good to hear.
So I'm a fan already, and I haven't even
Thank
started.
you. Thank you. If I just point one thing out, so we
Yeah.
believe in the approach of start with one, because change is hard, right? Changing processes is hard, but you don't have to change them all at once. So you pick the one that is going to have the most impact, and you fix that one process. And once that's going, then you do the next, and you do the next. And so we like that systematic approach. Otherwise, things become big projects, and nobody wants projects, right? We just want solutions to be implemented without thinking too much about it. So we will definitely be doing that with you. We'll start with one and then move on to the next and move on to the next.
Hallelujah. Music to my ears. So it's at this point every month that we lob at you the question that our last guest prepared.
I can't wait for this one.
Our last guest was Phil Smith. Well, actually, we had a charity guest in between that we didn't ask them for a question because it wasn't industry specific.
Okay.
So Phil's question to you is this. In the cleaning industry, we learn how to clean things and all the regulations involved. But what's the one unsung skill you've learned about in or about the cleaning industry that helped you most in life outside of work? This is a long old question. Can I say that again?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So what's the one thing I've learned in or about the cleaning industry that's helped me most outside of work?
Yes.
Okay.
Trying to think if I have my own answer for that.
Well, cheers, Phil. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Let's see. Outside of work. What's the one thing I've learned about the cleaning industry that's helped me outside of work? Yeah. So what's a real life lesson, life skill that I've taken from the cleaning industry? Well, okay, I think I might have something here, because we are not a cleaning company, but we work with cleaning companies. So we have the benefit of actually seeing how a lot of cleaning businesses work. And I learned about a product recently. This is a product specific thing, which is an enzyme based cleaning product. And you might know about this already, where, as you know, as cleaners go around and they're spraying all the chemicals and stuff, over time, if these chemicals aren't AAA rated and completely safe, you're gonna have there's gonna be some kind of response to that, negative response to that in your health, your skin. So enzyme-based cleaning products, which I only learned about like 2 weeks ago, actually break down dirt. I don't know if I'm saying this exactly correctly, but I know they're actually safe to ingest. So imagine a cleaning product you can spray that if you actually swallowed it, it would have zero impact. And that is going to be a game changer, I think, in the industry. And in fact, I met up with a supplier just last week who supplies these products. And I didn't realize these existed. And they're so good, you can put them in septic tanks, and they will actually clean septic tanks, which if you're talking about dirt, I don't know if you can do much worse than that. So these are things I think will also start to make it into our homes, because every time I try to, clean my bathroom and I spray some kind of bleach or something on it, you know it ain't good. You know it's not good. But you're like, but what are the alternatives? What else am I going to get off the shelf? But that's something I could take from learning from the industry, and I could bring that into my own home. So that's a very, very specific example. So I hope that satisfies Phil's question.
Yeah, I think he'll be very intrigued by that. Phil's a very cutting edge guy as well. So I'm sure he'll have stuff to say on the enzyme stuff.
Brilliant.
And I have to say, this was an area of new knowledge brought to my attention by our next guests, the team from DCBN.
Wow.
So they're coming on in January. And they've got some great insights around that. That was real revelation. I think I saw a podcast that they did somewhere in the summer. And in fact, that has started to, so I would say that that's one of the things that I'm learning about too. So in response to Phil's question, one of the things that I'm now doing in our community is this whole idea around just one swap, understanding the cleaning products that we use, particularly for our cleaning colleagues, where they're immersed in it, respiratory-wise, skin-wise, hours of a day, that we really have to make changes. And so one of my geeky new projects is learning how to make cleaning products from fully natural ingredients, things that if we ingest would actually be okay. And I'm
Brilliant.
loving it. I just had a
Yeah.
coffee morning on Saturday with a group of women in my community, just playing with things like white vinegar and bicarbonate of soda and all the things.
Okay, so going back to traditional methods
Yeah,
of
back
cleaning,
to what my
natural.
mama had me doing when I was
Yeah.
not quite on the enzyme level, but at
Yeah.
least on a cleaner level. So
Yeah.
that would be my answer. So
Oh, fantastic.
we have come to an end. It's been absolutely delightful. I can see a comment from a guy called Guy Wendon, who said this has been a brilliant episode. So much insight. That he's loved your approach to systemizing a business. And so thank you for chipping in with that, Guy. That's really encouraging. I hope that that is the impact for so many of you as business owners there. Remember that DocFlite is not just for the cleaning industry. Any SME business that is onboarding clients, teams could benefit from this. So that's really all of us. But their special focus at the moment is for the cleaning industry. And what a blessing for us, because we really need it. So thank you for that, TJ. Thank you for all the warmth and energy you bring to this.
It's been great talking to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Have a great day, everyone. Next month, as I said, we'll be hearing from the team at DCBN. That's the Domestic Network for, I always get this wrong.
Domestic Cleaning Business Network. Yeah.
Diane and Louise, and it's going to be a cracker.
Oh, they're great. Yeah. They're really cool.
When we exit this, TJ is going to give me a question for them. Diane and Louise.
Brilliant.
Ready. Have a great day, everyone. I'm off on leave. So
enjoy. Thanks, Antoinette.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.